Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Today's Weather Tonight. Here, as always, I am your meteorologist for the evening, Cloud Hudson. And if you notice a little smoke in the foreground, that is not a wildfire. That is my incense. I do get to burn this ceremonially when my roommate, who is sensitive to smells, is out of town. So that is really nice. I do keep it in this little coffee pot thing where this Pyrex of black sand that I've been forming for, gosh, I don't even know how many years. I guess like 6 years I've been working out of this little bit of salt, black salt, or turning it from salt to black salt, I guess. So yeah, if you see wafts of smoke, that's what it is. Hello! What the hell is that? This is my, this is my, where I'm using my incense tonight. Much love. Much love to you, Kale, out there. Is that your name? Should I call you Kale, or is it Kaylee, or I don't know. I don't know, but I'm glad to see you. I'm glad to see you here. I am so excited to talk about the weather today. We have so much going on. As I said in the title, we've got, Kaylee. Welcome back, Kaylee. Sweet. Yeah, we've got so much weather. Okay, Kale. I love it because your Twitch name shows up that way. I had kale for dinner. I had kale salad as part of dinner. Okay. There's so much weather that's happening today. Where do I even begin? I guess let's begin with the least exciting. Well, I think the least exciting is volcanoes. I haven't even looked at it yet. I haven't even pulled up what our volcano news is because there's been so much else going on. I usually prepare for this broadcast for like an hour and a half before I go live. And today there was just like not enough time to read everything before I got started, but I did find some fun articles for us. Let's see. Oh, let me go ahead and share my screen. That would help. Kale is life. Kale is love. Kale is life. Kale is one of those plants that has a there's some fun math thing about it. The curve that the edge of the leaf makes is takes place in hyperspace or something like that. I don't remember. I'm going to have to look up the factoid before I repeat it. But there's something about like it uses higher dimensional geometry in the folding of the edges of the leaves. Okay. So looks like the same stuff we've been looking at since yesterday is going on. Lewitolo is back in the news. We got thermal radiation imagery from the western flank at Lewitolo indicating that there are that the lava flow has not advanced significantly over the past few weeks. No thermal signature on the south side. So looks like maybe not a whole lot of volcano news today. Home Reef, Tonga Islands, unknown observed volcanic ash. New volcanic ash emissions from Reventador in Ecuador, and that makes sense because we did see more we saw more earthquakes there. Speaking of earthquakes, I do have our I finally remembered to pull up a map of the plate names. So let's go ahead and check out what our earthquakes did today. Okay. Starting in the cluster of quakes near Greece, we'll look at our higher magnitude. We got that 4.0 just off the coast at 36 kilometers deep, 3.3, a 3.4, and some upper twos, all swirling around the Ionian Sea. And then as we add back in our lower level quakes, they're just all over Greece. So that place is falling apart. Then, oh, wait for my quakes to load again. They're thinking. It's thinking. Hello? Where'd all my other quakes go? There we go. Thank you very much. Some of these look kind of deep, but yeah, one of them showing 142 kilometers depth. Where is that one? I can't click on it. I just randomly clicked on it and saw it. But anyway, some of them striking deep. We've also got a 3.5 out here in Puerto Rico on the Caribbean plate, along with a big old stack of mid-range twos and a few upper threes. Those are pretty shallow as well, but not surface shallow. We also had a 2.3 up here near Lake Erie, and we had a 1.9 and a 1.6 in northern Jersey. Also, two 2.2s in Missouri, right here near the New Madrid seismic zone, and a cluster of mid-range ones in Oklahoma. A big old stack of West Texas quakes today, including a 3.1. And these are all relatively shallow, around 4 or 5 kilometers depth. And one in Central Texas as well. Then our biggest fun player here is we have this 5.3, 5.0, and 4.8 stack right here on the edge of, this is the Cocos plate and the North American plate. So the 4.8 was at 173 kilometers, 5.0 at 10, and 5.3 at 10. Then right close to it, we had a 3.3 at 64 kilometers depth, and that is more typical of what we've been seeing on the Pacific coast of Mexico. These moderate, shallow, deep, around 20 or so kilometers depth range, mid threes. But this 3.6 right here, where's that going to? That is right off the coast as well. That is at 103 kilometers depth. Then, there was yesterday, right in the middle of the show, we got this 4.5 on the border of the Cocos plate and the Nazca plate. This being the Nazca plate. We've got, let's see, 5.5 here in, what country are we in here? That is still in Peru. Well, maybe turn on borders. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that 5.5 at 99 kilometers depth in Peru, 4.5 down in southern coastal Peru. Then we've also got these Chile quakes and Argentine quakes at moderately deep depth, or pretty deep depths of over 150 kilometers depth. So, that over 100 kilometers depth really sticking out there. Look at our pincushion Earth just going off. Not too much activity out of Hawaii today. We did have a 4.0 on the Aleutian Island chain here near really more on the Alaska Peninsula part of it, but really right on the plate boundary. And lots of getting into the deeper quakes in Alaska, like there's some random over 100 kilometer, like this 1.1 over 100 kilometers depth. But so far, most of these are staying surface quakes. And the larger magnitudes are shallower, but still a little deep, 4.0 at 42 kilometers depth. Then we had some tremors out here on the Aleutian Island chain, where yesterday we saw a lot more activity. 2.7 and a 3.6 along with the 3.7, kind of flanking where we saw yesterday's quake. Then as we go over to the border of the, I guess this is the North American plate still, and the Eurasian plate, we got a 4.3 at 76 kilometers depth. And then here in Japan, again, not near Tokyo, but we have some very high range fours, 4.9, the 4.9 club. These are apparently not fives. These are upper fours at 10 kilometers depth. I'm going to have the 10 kilometers depth club. I don't know what's going on 10 kilometers down. 53 kilometers depth and 45 kilometers depth on those as well. 4.5 at 45 kilometers depth. That's too nice. This 4.8 out on this is the Philippine plate, I learned. This is a 4.8 at 194 kilometers depth. Then as we go into the Philippines, we had really this is in Indonesia, 4.3 at 272 kilometers and a 4.3 at 133 kilometers. So both pretty deep. 4.2 at 28 kilometers depth right off the coast of Papua New Guinea, or that is actually onshore. And then we had a pretty deep 5.2 and 5.3 right here on the other side of it. Then a 5.3 at 10 kilometers depth and a 5.0 at 10 kilometers depth off the coast as you get into the island chain there. Now we also had a 5.6 in the Solomon Islands. That's right here at 48 kilometers depth. We had a 5.5 in the Tonga Islands, I believe. Yeah. 76 kilometers east-southeast of Tonga. Then, nothing else down here. But what do we have over here? We've got a 4.9 on the Australian and Antarctic plate boundary. Then we got a 4.4 up here in Kyrgyzstan, looks like. And if I clicked on that, it would probably be the Russian website, and I wouldn't be able to get a immediate location. I'd have to look up the coordinates. But then we've got, I guess that is our roundup for earthquakes today. So biggest news is that there have been some over 5 magnitude quakes on the American hemisphere. And it was pretty deep. But we haven't seen any other 6s so far. Yeah, so that is our earthquake update. How am I doing? Time me. I'm trying to not get through this. Oh, there's cities under us. I want to know more about that. I've been trying to research that. I don't know what that means, but I'm intrigued. I want to know more. Tell me more about the cities under us, because 10 kilometers below the ground seems like a lot of stuff happens. I don't always follow what people are talking about when they talk about that stuff, but I want to know. Okay. But yeah, tell me what's going on 10 kilometers below our ground. I want to know. Now let's look at our atmosphere. First, I'm going to start with what we've got going on. I forgot to mention that there was a nice article that was recommended to me about this giant, about the ginormous sinkhole that is in the result of permafrost thaw and erosion in Russia. Well, this is a great example of a positive feedback loop where something happens, so it makes the thing happen even more, and so it happens even more. More permafrost thaws, so land erodes, and that exposes more land of straight permafrost to thaw even more rapidly, so the land melts, thaws, and erodes. This is a great example of something where you could feel sad about it or scared, but you actually, this could be a opportunity for inspiration, because if positive feedback loops exist so destructively, they can also exist very positively, in my opinion. So there should be a sign of hope that we can be one little seed that, like one little straw that breaks the camel's back, and raise awareness, raise consciousness, like educating each other. I think it is a scary story, but it is nice to see that the math actually is real. What we learn in upper level math classes is real, that cycles can feed themselves. And if you get a cycle going that is more positive, man, imagine how much you can feed itself. Okay. There's also, I guess this is a gateway from Earth, from geological weather to atmospheric weather. We've got lots of wildfire activity today. Ruidoso wildfires in New Mexico have forced evacuations, and there are some apocalyptic looking pictures coming out of that area of New Mexico. They're telling people to evacuate to Roswell. They're always trying to keep us out of there. And then now they're saying everybody go to Roswell, because Highway 80 and Highway 70 at Apache Summit are closed. And you can see that in the ArcGIS wildfire map. This is the Indios incident, which is actually bigger, but started back on May 19th. I think that's the schoolhouse. Where's the... I think this down here. Oh, yes, this is the one. Near Ruidoso. I think... No, this is it. South Fork incident, discovered today on June 16th. Area burned 200 already, but that is in addition to these other ongoing burns. This is the salt incident. There's all kinds of these yellow ones indicate past 24 hours detection. So the salt incident, the Pennscott incident, and the South Fork incident are all new within the past day. So is this one south of Gallup, New Mexico. Red Mesa incident up here near Carson National Forest. The Torero incident. We've also got some new incidents on the border of Colorado and Utah. Rabbit Valley incident, one in Utah. No, 3 new fire incidents in Utah. And that is after all of this area, all the pink that you see here. This is the red flag warning, where weather conditions are favorable to support the sparking and burning of active wildfires. So that is in addition to the LA wildfire northwest, the Post fire, which has burned 15,000 acres and is only 20% contained. In addition to that, look at all these new fires that just sparked in the LA basin just in the last 24 hours. These are all popping up within one day. Grapefruit incident. LAC, I guess, Los Angeles County incidents number 2000 through whatever. There's also existing burns that popped up yesterday. These little ones that aren't showing as popping up in the past 24 hours, most of these popped up since the 16th. So they desperately need some moisture over there. Probably won't happen because this is the dry season for them. But then as you go up the San Joaquin Valley, all kinds of wildfires have popped up. And then the little dots that you're seeing, those are satellite detected thermal anomalies. So fire radiative power in megawatts is listed in the key here. Then there are also prescribed burns, but not as many as there should be. Honestly, wildfires are needed in the ecosystem, but the suppression of wildfires makes them more explosive when they do happen. Just like the suppression of knowledge makes knowledge more explosive when it does come to light. All right. What is this? Oh, Mount Shasta. I just was drawn to this. I've always wanted to go to Mount Shasta ever since I learned how powerful it was. But thankfully nothing burning near there. Also got some wildfires burning up in Washington and Oregon, just popping up here. That's really unfortunate. We've also got lots of thermal anomalies all over the east. And in this very seismically active area, we see a lot of thermal anomalies. Personal hypothesis is that tectonic activity would be linked to thermal anomalies in the ground. It just seems like it makes sense physically that heat would want to escape up vertically through vents. And maybe these are areas where there is some venting going on, as there is quite especially here in the Sierra Madre del Sur mountain range. There is a lot of tectonic activity happening there. Seems likely. Okay, we've got also, let's talk about, flooding in China. I didn't even remember to pull up our flood map, but I'll go to it after this. Check out, this person walks across the bridge to, I think, pull in their trash can and does not make it back. I mean, the person's fine, but they are stuck for sure. Just watch. This is crazy. I mean, I would not walk over that. If you have muddy water running over the bridge, you see this ponding over, that's where the river is backwashing into it, the drains the bridge has to get water drained off into the river. It's working in reverse. See, they're going to check their trash can, maybe pull it back in, and then they get paused for just a moment's safety. They're thinking, I didn't get a good grip on this. Let me readjust my grip. Somebody comes up on a motorbike, and then they were about to walk across the bridge, and then damn. Well, actually the opposite of a dam, a flood. Yeah, now she's like, well, what do I do? Now I'm just stuck over here with the garbage can, and my house is over here. Sorry, I don't mean to sound so amused. I'm just very amused that fate would have it that this person stopped to adjust their grip on the can. They would have been on the bridge at the time that it collapsed had they not just like paused for a moment. So that is wild. The brink of life and death there when there's extreme major flooding like this. Okay. So I will get to the major flooding in a second. Let's take a look at our radar. Am I broadcasting? Yes. Okay. Oh, we don't want me to go there. Trust me. Okay. Well, I want to know, but I will figure out in my own time, I suppose. I am trying to figure out a lot of ancient geology on my own, doing my own research about stuff. Trying to figure it out, trying to wake it up. And I think that I only am aware of the things I'm ready to know about. Okay. So, big weather day today. We've got this tropical gyre out here forming in the Gulf of Mexico, the Bay of Campeche. There are already tropical storm watches issued along the southern Texas coast, from all the way to at the border with Mexico to Port Lavaca, all the way like peaking on Corpus Christi. And then a few inland counties as well, all the way to Mathis and Orange Grove. These are places that will be getting lots of tropical moisture fed into there. Even if it's not in the form of a storm yet, they're going to continue getting these onshore storms until this depression is out of the area. And that doesn't even mention the fact that we've got other warm fronts and troughs behind this that are driving lots of convection of isolated cells like we see here in Fort Stockton. There's flash flood warning, and we've also got some power outages in these counties, it looks like. We also have a big mesoscale discussion about flash flooding possible in Mississippi, all up and down the Mississippi River Delta. We've got a lot of storms using that Gulf of Mexico moisture to form up here on the coast of Louisiana. Then as we get some of that ridging, upper level ridging, dragging this moisture onshore, we are seeing a lot of convection. Let's see what they said is the cause of this. Exceptionally moist air mass across much of the lower to mid Mississippi Valley. Ample fuel in the form of PWATs elevated to around 2.2 inches in the daily record, above the daily record. And mixed level CAPE around 1,500 joules per kilogram. This warm, unstable air mass is further characterized by freezing levels rising to about 14,000 feet and mid-level lapse rates that are generally moist adiabatic, suggesting efficient warm rain processes are dominant. So a lapse rate is the rate at which the thermal gradient changes as you go up in the vertically in the atmosphere. And there are different rates depending on the different air, water, chemical reactions that are happening. Basically, you get different types of lapse rates depending on what is happening in that chunk of air. And this is indicating that there is a lot of the vertical column of air that is able to do warm, moist, adiabatic. Adiabatic mean without only from ideal gas law type of expansion, compression, heating, and cooling. So, and that is like 6 to 7 degrees Celsius per kilometer, suggesting efficient warm rain processes are dominating. Synoptic ascent is modest on the western periphery of the building upper ridge, but weak shortwaves embedded within the flow, some subtle to low mid-level convergence, and a surface trough analyzed from western Tennessee into northern Louisiana are providing sufficient lift into the robust environment to support the convection with heavy rainfall. 1 to 1.5 inches per hour, likely to continue through nightfall. Storm organization is likely minimal due to a lack of bulk shear. The robust thermodynamics and sufficient ascent should result in continued development of convection through and beyond sunset. Yeah, so sounds like even though this is a ridge, there are micro ridge and troughs. There are shortwave ridging and troughing, as well as just the very ripe, juicy air that is perfect for making this specific type of rain process happen, blooming all throughout the region. Now, you do see it petering off just a little bit after sunset, and that is a good thing. But the fact that we can see these isolated storms popping up and not really training into each other, but really being their own responses to the same conditions of an air mass over the area. That shows us, and yes, they just let that mesoscale discussion expire. So we're now dealing with the remnants of that that activity that happened probably throughout the peak heating hours of the day, like this afternoon to evening. This is just kind of petering out after sundown, which is good because up here in the upper plains, we are still dealing with quite a clusterfuck. In Rapid City, we are looking at tennis ball sized hail at 50 wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour, considerable damage threat. Look at this thing develop as it goes over Badlands National Park. I mean, really, I think as you go over forested areas, you should expect to see rapid intensification because of all the cloud condensation nuclei, moisture and temperature gradients. All the complexity in the surface of a forest really helps stoke the fire, so to speak. But unfortunately, this means all the warm, moist air masses are over here. And Los Angeles is looking high and dry, very dry in the West Coast. But we are looking at a watch possible mesoscale discussion as well as a severe thunderstorm watch up here. I read this mesoscale discussion being related to a warm front that's moving through along with mixed layer cape values being very high. We got some radar anomalies coming out of Great Falls, Montana. Look at this almost rotation over the radar station too. I bet there's some sort of... This looks like what it looks like when the radar station near me is blocked by mountains. So maybe these streakings are normal, but I would assume that our mosaic radar would know how to account for that and take it out. Anyway, still looking at a lot of energy sweeping down into Idaho and Montana. And these are areas where we are actually about to get snow warnings, y'all. We're looking at, let me see if forecasts does anything. Snow. We are looking at snow in Idaho and Montana. I know. Crazy, fucking wild. It is June 17th, and we are looking at from Missoula to Bozeman, all the way to Jackson, Wyoming. You remember I was talking the other day about how in the Tetons, there's a stretch of road that's been damaged, and people who work in Jackson, Wyoming aren't able to get from like their working class neighborhoods in Idaho. They're having to go miles and miles around. Well, unfortunately, those people who are having to take detours are now going to have to possibly deal with snow on the route. So that is just really unfortunate because we're seeing, look at this, snow potentials up to, what is this value? Oh, they don't give me a value. I don't have a key on this. Okay, well, we're looking at some pretty heavy snowfall totals, especially if you would just expect flurries in June. No, we're looking at real snow falling in June here. So, we've got snow in Wyoming, Idaho, and Montana. We've got a tropical storm in Texas. We've got flash flooding and pop-up scattered thunder showers in the upper plains and Mississippi Valley. We've also got nasty temperatures We got nasty high temperatures all through the East Coast and Northeast. That's looking bad. Look at that. This is well below freezing up in the upper. I mean, this is the warm front, and this is the cold coming in the back. This is the troughing. This is the ridging. Look at that. Oh, wait, hold on. Let's go. Here we go. Look at that. We are looking at, I mean, these are temperatures that we are used to seeing in the Four Corners region, in Southern California, Arizona, and New Mexico. We're seeing these close to 100-degree temperatures all the way up in Albany, New York, in Bangor, Maine, all the way up in Maine, Vermont, and Connecticut, all the way through the Rust Belt, Philadelphia, Northern Jersey. We're going to see just scorchers by if not tomorrow, by the next day on the 19th. So, I mean, it looks like the only place that's safe in the entire East Coast is, well, kind of Austin, Texas, but that's really not even safe because they are getting some onshore. They're in the strike zone for some tropical moisture. Pretty much the Appalachian Mountains. Go on the Appalachian Trail in the mountainous parts of West Virginia, Virginia, and North Carolina, a little bit of Tennessee and Georgia as well. I mean, and even the mountains don't keep you safe. These are definitely geographic and elevation based protections. This is a really tall point in the mountain. This is a really tall point in the mountains. And this is also a tall point, but gets really humid. This is my neck of the woods in this area. So I'm familiar with the valleys and peaks. And I can tell you that what is showing up as staying cool is heavily forested or very high in elevation. The places that are getting really hot, like in actually Asheville or up here in Weaverville, or here in Cherokee, well, really west of Cherokee as you're getting into, there's a lake around here that I forgot the name of, but it's one of those Tennessee Valley Authority flooded lakes. Those lower lying areas are going to get really, really hot. But, God, it is so clear. Even here, you can see the Ozarks really sticking out as the only little cool section. It is so clear that the only true weather control you can do on your scale is ethical ecosystem revitalization and management. You can build mountains, you can build forests, you can do everything that you think is just natural and already there. You can actively take part in the creation of these little temperature safe zones if you actually care to do the work of creating little biological niches where lots of complexity can happen and where lots of really dense forested areas can survive. Yeah, this is kind of a flip-flop of what we've been seeing. I mean, look how cold it's getting up here and hot over here. This is just everything everywhere all at once. Okay. Oh, they'll eat us if you tell me what's going on. Okay, that makes sense. What could be causing the rainfall? What could be causing the rainfall? What was I talking about at 11:45? Rainfall is caused by a lot. Well, in most of these cases, high convection rates. steep lapse rate, or moist lapse rates being very close to moist adiabatic lapse rate under ideal conditions. All this rain is God, 2.5-inch sized hail, tennis ball sized hail. Damage threat considerable. I can't even, you know, I can't even fathom what it's like to see a tennis ball made of solid ice come crashing towards your head. If you are in Minneapolis, St. Paul region, you're probably going to get some nasty weather, as well as just past Madison into Beaver Dam and Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I was just thinking last night, doesn't Wisconsin look like such a funky shape? Like, isn't it just such a goofy looking shape for a state? I mean, I know Michigan is over here being a whole oven mitt, but all the, like, especially in comparison to Minnesota looks so serious. Wisconsin just looks like goofy kid in class, like the class clown of the AP kids. Like, oh yeah, you're a state, but like, you're not taking this shit seriously. I don't know what I mean by that. Maybe there are goofier looking states, but I don't see it. You know what else is goofy? Here's my little my favorite little diagram. So here's the chef's hat, and here's the little chef's face. And then here's his little chef's apron uniform, and his belly's sticking out. And he's holding a frying pan. And here's his little boots, his little cooking boots. There's his shoes. And then here's the grill. We got Tennessee through, well, that doesn't show up. Let's do gray. Tennessee and the Deep South. This is all his grill, his deep fryer and everything. Well, that's terrible. I'm just going to do this as the grill. This is the grill. And then Kentucky is his little frying pan full of food. Flambe in it. This is the cooktop. Do we see the chef? Do we all see the chef? Chat, do you guys see the chef? Oh, I got to move my head. So do we see the chef in the middle of the country? I want all of us to notice that there's a little guy cooking in the middle of the United States. I think this is really important information. I'm taking time out of our forecast to talk about this, so it is very important. Does everybody see the little chef guy where Minnesota is his hat and Iowa is his little face? Missouri is his little upper torso. Arkansas is his little lower torso, legs. Louisiana's the shoes. Tennessee is the grill top, and Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia are the bottom working. Maybe that's the gas canisters under this propane grill. And then Kentucky itself is the food cooking. I really need you guys to get on board with me on this. Okay, thank you, Jenny. Thank you for validating my delusions. I need everyone to know that there's a little man cooking. There's a little man cooking in the middle of the country. Okay, I had to take a little time out from things getting too serious on stream. Everybody, don't remember not to take me seriously, because yeah, I see little men cooking in the shape of the states. So what do I know? Don't take me as a threat. Don't ever see me as a threat. Okay, special weather statement was just issued, but it's expires in 14 minutes for wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour up here near Salem, Indiana. No, yeah, Salem, Indiana. let's see. Also, southeast of Rapid City, this area, tennis ball size hail. I'm still not over that. Coming out of Badlands National Park, this nasty little storm. Let's see if it rotates as we get some. Oh, do we get footage of it or no? Maybe it's not gonna like me anymore. Oh well, let's move on. I've talked long on this part. But yeah, we are looking at our first tropical storm watches of the season right now. Yay, exciting. It's actually happening. Calm down, folks. It's real. This is happening. Let's take a look at our tropical outlooks. Our spaghetti plots, our model outlooks. This is global plus GFS guidance, or potential tropical cyclone 1 model track guidance. And this is what they are showing for potential tracks. And each of these dots is 24 hours out. So this one at least looks like it's trending to make landfall in Mexico, as is the GEFS track. And then ensembles are starting to disagree a lot more. But when we go to, let's take a look at this in IR, infrared radiation, we can see the opposite twisting, like I don't know what the politically correct term is for the thing where you grab somebody's arm with your two hands and twist like this, because we used to call it an Indian rug burn, but I don't think that's something we're supposed to say anymore. So, yeah, that thing where somebody twists your arm like that, like this, like that clockwise and counterclockwise twisting at the same time. That's what's going on in our storm right now, where we are getting a lower level low pressure system and an upper level high, so that the air is diffluencing at the top and confluencing at the bottom, meaning it's sucking up the air in the middle column. Let's see. Disturbance 1 shows at least one track that makes landfall in Texas, but most of these are trending to make landfall in Mexico. However, it does look like we are probably going to weaken by the time landfall happens. There's not going to be enough time to really ratchet up a good hurricane out of this one. But tropical storm force winds will be most likely when we're out here closer to the Yucatan Peninsula. And then this is our final Canadian ensemble track model, which is giving, again, a very confusing spaghetti plot that is most certain of nothing, if not that we are probably going to get a Mexico landfall. Our wind shear looks pretty crazy as we get into Cuba and Florida, but we have very low shear, which is the thing that I said last week, Jenny, when you asked if we were going to have this happen next week. I said, I think if wind shear keeps up, we won't see much development. But unfortunately, wind shear looks pretty low over our main development region right now. So that is not good if you want to avoid a storm. But if you're eager to see a storm, well, wow, we're in luck. I think we're going to see something fun out of that. But let's see. Oh, intensity forecast. This is also what I wanted to show, is that as we go march on in time, we are expected to peak in intensity about 2 days out and then really drop down, probably out of tropical storm region after that. We are now in tropical storm region, I believe. Yes, this says potential tropical cyclone 1. It has not been officially named yet, but I think the name it will be is Blake if it gets a name. Let's see. Yeah. Let's look at, I want to see RGB water vapor, because again, I like to see, y'all know me, I'm biased towards seeing all levels of the atmosphere at once. This is really pretty image. If you like doom and destruction. Got a lot of development off the Pacific coast of Mexico. This area is just really popping off, but I don't know if the winds are going to align well enough for this leg of this band to make it through the entire Yucatan Peninsula. If this area makes landfall, or if this area of convection makes landfall, it probably wouldn't survive into the Gulf unless it went straight through that way. So this is the area where we're looking for our main development. Even though over land, it's really blooming very beautifully. And you can kind of see that the upper levels, the green, are really where we're getting that clockwise rotation. And the lower levels, the blue, are where we're getting the counterclockwise rotation. Or at least I hope we can see that. It's kind of hard to pick out. Well, speaking of which, let's go to our derived winds. Cheers, everybody. Are you staying hydrated out there? I'm talking a lot, so let's keep our throat, wet our whistles. Israr Cool 22 said, so that is what could be causing the rainfall, BRB. I don't know what you're referring to, but I don't know what that means, because I was talking about, I was reading the mesoscale discussion text, but I don't know what exactly they were referring to there. Let's see. No, that's still, I never get my positioning right on this. I wish I could drag and drop and rescale. I'll figure out a better broadcasting method soon. Okay. Oh, look at that on our GOES 16 derived wind motions image. So red is our upper level winds, cyan is our mid-level winds, and yellow is our lower level winds. So you see, we've got a lot of lower level winds feeding in from the Atlantic. Unfortunately, that's a lot of dry air. That is, and this is where we're seeing that a butt ton of directional shear over Florida. That's kind of feeding into what caused all these flare-ups in the southeast today. Like you can see it like a little terrarium fogging up and releasing. That shear is bad for development of giant circulation systems, but can be good for certain types of convective development on the small scale. But we don't have very much shear here, which is what we would want to see. We're getting a lot of lower level onshore flow, and it's already spawning. You see these waves of puffy little clouds where it looks like stippling, like Bob Ross would be using a large bristled dry brush to stipple on, or like a makeup influencer making fake freckles out of that like very frayed paintbrush. This is that kind of texture. That is cumulus clouds forming as the warm, moist Gulf of Mexico air floods onshore. And it is kind of diverging as it hits the higher elevations as we get into southern Texas and Mexico. But really, that is only feeding into the fact that we have both onshore flow and backflow back into the storm system itself. You can see at the lower levels, they kind of hit the mountains and swirl back around because there's more friction on land lower level winds are more susceptible to friction than higher level winds because the ground has more friction than the air. So, and being over land creates more drag and friction on that air mass than being over water. So, just like when your car gets one tire stuck in mud and one is still stuck on the clean road, you turn toward the thing that is stickier. So in this case, just like refractive indexes or something, in this case, the lower level winds are hitting the mountains and dry land, sticking and kind of spinning out and turning towards that direction. If you think of the way your car gets stuck, the thing that's the side of the wheels that are moving slower is what you turn towards, because the fast moving one is going to go faster, meaning you turn towards the slow thing. So when these lower level winds hit the slow thing, they turn towards the slow thing, then they cycle back around, and then what are they doing but feeding into the cyclone in a cyclonic orientation again. And that is a little bit obscured by our upper level clouds and winds here, but I guarantee you there is a continuity of airflow between this diffluence at the coastal lower level and the confluence that's circling back around in the Bay of Campeche. So, I'm so long-winded when I get on a roll. Long-winded, a meteorologist. Oh man, why wouldn't the meteorologist shut up? Because they were long-winded. Oh God, okay, I hate me. I know it's bad. I'm a meteorologist. What can I say? Comedian / meteorologist. I got to make bad jokes from time to time. You know, maybe if meteorologists didn't take themselves so seriously, they wouldn't be seen as such jokes. There you go. There's another one. Okay. We've got a lot of onshore wind over in California too. You can see where we've been talking about all this wildfire activity. Actually, let's go to the West CONUS. Continental U.S. imagery West PACUS. Pacific U.S. Oh, I'm going to have to find. Yeah. There we go. Let's take a look at all that wildfire smoke that is just pouring off of LA County. The LA River Basin? Why do I want to say LA River Basin? The LA Valley, this whole area is just pouring smoke and wildfire smoke into the Pacific, which is getting dragged down the Baja Peninsula. And by this air mass that we can see shifting out of the strike zone for California, really unfortunate because, it's unfortunate that we've got this troughing happening, because that when troughing happens, it brings in cooler air, and cooler air is always drier. And especially in the middle of summer, right around the time of the summer solstice, where there's the maximum exposure to the sun in the day, colder air doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be cold or too cold for a wildfire. It just means that the air is probably not coming in. It's not bringing its own moisture. The opposite of what Trump said about they're not bringing their best. He was talking about Mexico, but I'm talking about Canada. They're not bringing their best. They're not bringing their own moisture. These Canadian polar continental air masses, they're not bringing their best moisture. So it is really unfortunate. I'm making a lot of jokes, but it is very unfortunate for people facing wildfire evacuations here, because that is not a good recipe for wildfire suppression. I can tell you that much. Looks like our sweet days of random desert rains are coming to an end. But we are getting, honestly, a lot of zonal wind out here and very little shear. So that is unfortunate. And you can really see the way that this dry Pacific air mass kind of rockets up and launches the convection that is taking place over the upper plains. This is also bringing the snow. This is bringing the snow. Remember that at colder temperatures, the reason that cold air isn't bringing its own water is because it doesn't hold as much water. But that also means it takes less moisture content to make it a saturated air mass. So when this Pacific air, this Pacific moistened air, comes into contact with this big troughing coming down from Canada, this is where we're getting our big snow threat for Idaho, Montana, Wyoming area. So in the Teton Pass area. So that is what we've got going on. Oh, and then I found another great website off of this. First, I found Track the Tropics today, and they've got a great compilation of all weather things. But this cyclonic weather also has some nice products. Products is what we call little maps. The products is what nerds call their silly little maps. So cyclonicweather.com has some nice products, including a full disc of 16 on their water vapor band. And you can really see these blossoming storms in West Texas just popping up out of nowhere. Also, all of this Gulf of Mexico moisture coming up and feeding the random pop-off rapid intensification here in the Mississippi Valley region, and also that Canadian air mass that is a little bit more moist, helping to spur on the upper plains convection. And then that really dry air. You see this band of super dry air out here? That was what we saw out here between this air mass and this air mass. There's this big swath of dry air. There's a lot of dry air funneling into Southern California right now, so they haven't even seen the worst of it. Well, they kind of have, because this is the air. This is how dry the air was before. So maybe they'll get a little bit of moisture soon, but I wouldn't count on it. Okay. Let's see. Oh, let's also take a look at, there is some moisture coming from Saharan Africa, but there is just so much dry air capping all of this off that none of these moist streams are connecting to each other, except for maybe once you get into Ecuador and Colombia, and Venezuela. Maybe when you're in northern South America, you could potentially connect Africa to the Caribbean to the United States. But there's not usually you want your conveyor belt to be a little bit further north. And I read in a study about the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Convection, or conveyor belt, whatever. The Atlantic conveyor belt that helps mix up the salinity and the heat in the Atlantic. As that conveyor belt shuts down, due to lots of stuff, the ITCZ, the Intertropical Convergence Zone, which is where we see all of this all these tropical systems pop off, it's actually shifting closer to the equator, which is a bad thing, because just like what we saw in Brazil, where there's a ton of rain down here when it's supposed to be up here, we're shifted down like almost a whole 10 degrees. This whole band of moisture popping off, that is supposed to be up near 30 degrees. That's supposed to be near the Tropic of Cancer. Or is it Capricorn? I don't remember which one is which. I think this one's Cancer. But this band is supposed to be a lot further north on the globe. Then we would be getting our good hurricane conveyor belt into, and that's healthy for our oceans to get a lot of heat and energy out through tropical storms. But unfortunately, we've just got the wrong rain and the wrong drought in the wrong places. The right rain in the wrong places. Like it's not that weird of a picture, except it's just squished down a little. And this all goes back to the collapse of the northern polar vortex, of how spread out and loose butthole that whole vortex up there is, just really not keeping it tight butthole the way that the South Pole is. They're keeping it tight down there. And really, unfortunately, the northern hemisphere is just fucking up, getting sloppy, and it is spreading such that the ITCZ is moving down. Anyway, that is a lot of opinions from me. Let's go back to one. I just want to do one more thing. I just want to do one more thing. I just want to see what our vorticity looks like. Let's look at 700 vorticity as we march forward. Oh yeah, that's looking like it's a brewing something in the mid levels. Let's look at 850 vorticity. Wait, that's cyclogenesis. Frontogenesis, sorry. 850 has it shifted a little bit more south, but definitely still swirling up. And our upper dynamics, as we look at 500 Vort. I'm going to name my child Vort. I don't think I'm going to have any children, but it'd be funny if there's a kid named Vort. Seems like something a weather nerd would do. There's also a big disturbance forming up here, but I don't think that anybody's talking about that in a tropical capacity. I think that is the remnants of what brings snow. Oh no, some of this is translation of vorticity from the tropical jet to the polar jet. So these meridional or north and south moving storms are what bring momentum and conditions from one latitude to the next. This is how you get transportation of heat and energy from the equator to the poles. So this storm, if nothing else, will at the upper to mid levels bring a lot of vorticity up into our subtropical jet stream. Okay. That is so many words from me recently. Let's go ahead and take a look at our Schumann resonances. And I'm going to read the words that you all have said. Maybe you're talking in the chat still. Are you? I hope so. I'm going to check my chat. Oh, hello. Hello. Welcome back. Okay. A bit concerned. Harvey looked like that and was in the same place. Next thing you know, bullseye. Makes first landfall 2 miles from your house. Oh my gosh. Oh man, I'm sorry, Jenny. Yeah, people have brought up Harvey a lot with this one. People are talking about Harvey. They're talking about, they were talking about Lee with Alberto, but people are bringing up Harvey a lot with this one, in that it is a rapid intensification. And if all the right conditions align, you could have bombogenesis, which is a certain I forget what threshold of a deepening of the center of the low, but you can, with sea surface temperatures as astronomically high as they are in the Gulf of Mexico, you can really that's like just instead of cooking over like a match, cooking over a butane torch. Like this is what's going on the uh in the Gulf of Mexico right now, is this kind of heat. That's instead of a candle, you know? It's like comparing a butane torch to a candle. We've got a butane torch amount of sea surface temperatures right now. Let's see, Jim Giles, Channel 3 weatherman, said at 10:30 night before, quote, "I will eat my hat if this even becomes a named tropical storm." He quit. Guess didn't want to eat his hat. Yeah. Oh my God. That, yes. LOL indeed. I don't think you guys can even see each other's comments, but it's funny that Kaylee is saying LOL on Twitch while you're saying things that I'm LOLing at. But I remember that. I remember the eat his hat thingy. I didn't remember who said that. But yeah, this is another one of those situations where it's probably gonna either be a rapid fall off or a rapid intensification. And in the middle, the other possibility, the middle way, if you will, is that perhaps this just is a tropical storm that makes landfall in Mexico, and there would still be a huge amount of storm surge, onshore winds, and rainfall in Texas, coastal Texas. Even if it's not a named storm, we're still gonna see a lot of performance out of this one. Okay, so let's take a look at our Schumann resonances today, because boy, we are back, baby. Oh, I forgot to check the weather in Tomsk. Let's see. Check the weather in Tomsk, make sure that's not throwing off our observations here. There's a little bit of cloud cover moving through the area, perhaps some storms, but no, that doesn't look like storms. That looks maybe, I don't think there's much precipitation with that. Yeah, sunny conditions. Okay, they did just have a bit of rainfall sweep through. So there is the possibility that this is a little bit skewed by the rainfall. But like if we go back a day, there were pretty randomly clear conditions and not a whole lot of intense rainfall activity. So take this with a grain of salt that some of this is probably caused by some thunderstorms in the area. However, we now have our new resource, our HeartMath Institute spectrograms, and they are all showing huge increases in the Schumann resonances on the, well, they're kind of a day behind, but when you see that these start peaking on the 16th, 15th, and 16th, we're definitely seeing that confirmed by the Global Coherence Institute's spectrograms. A big increase in the power being exchanged between the ionosphere and the ground level. So we can probably safely assume that this is actual a combination of both thunderstorm activity locally and remember that thunderstorm contamination doesn't necessarily mean it's not Schumann resonance activity. It just means it's outscaling the performance locally compared to the global. Because what is a Schumann resonance other than lightning and photons being in a resonant frequency with the size and shape of the Earth. And, lighting is photons in that resonance gap. Anyway, looks pretty poppin'. Looks like something is happening. Our amplitudes are really going up. We've got these discrete different power bursts, especially right now. We are on a up train. Getting pretty high, peaking out at 55. I think that's a nanotesla. And then frequencies are down, but still pretty high for the amount of power that is being translated here. So let's look at our background noise. Oh no, that doesn't show a chart. Never mind. I thought they had a background ELF radiation. This is their forecast. I never really look at that. I'll have to do more research into what that means. But I guess this is for mode 1, where we're expected to be settling out around 7.75. Let's see what that has meant for what we've seen on our space weather today. Oh, buddy. Look at that. Okay, so yesterday we only had 2 coronal mass ejections, but one of them has been deemed a type 2 partial halo event. See if let me see it. That sucks. That's a terrible video. I'm sorry. Okay. Boring. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be so judgmental. We had 6 coronal mass ejections today. One was a type 2. Oh, wow. How is that a type 2 partial halo? That looks like a full halo. Unless it's a far side one. Might be from the far side, so it's not getting the coverage it needs. But we also had our exact Mercury-Venus conjunction today, so I have a feeling that plays a part. That's beautiful. Let's look at these type 3, though. Oh, yeah. That is a big one, baby. That's a big one. Get our velocities there's not a very wide velocity distribution, but there's a huge angular distribution, meaning it went, oh, buddy, and this last one is the most beautiful of all. Look at that. That is gorgeous. That looks like a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I'd say that's 2 petals of a 5-petaled flower. I don't know why I like to measure these. There's something instinctive in me that really believes that you should talk about coronal mass ejections as flower petals. But, oh, beautiful. Crikey, that's a beaut. We got high solar wind speed. Let's see what our KP index got to today. Oh, maybe I'm asking too much of the computer at once. We got increased hemispheric power. Significantly sustained high wind speeds sitting close to 600 kilometers per second, and normal densities, slightly elevated magnitude of the interplanetary magnetic field, and we're dipping in and out of southward orientation. See, we had some moderate solar flares. Hemispheric power reached 50 gigawatts. All kinds of radio emissions. Let's see what our KP index did today. Okay, not that much. Not as much as we observed the other day. We didn't reach G1 activity. But let's see our solar dashboard. Oh, we now have 2 regions that are a beta gamma formation. Remember, that's the formation that 3712 was before it became a beta gamma delta, and it looks healthy as ever. That is separating into almost a dog bone shape. which is probably good for charge separation and intensifying, but there's also a delta component with it. And then these are the other two that are in beta gamma formations. And so they are also growing as well. Really looking healthy. It's kind of scary. We had an M flare today. Let's see. We had 2 M flare, 3. We had one at 2030 UTC, one here at 1040 UTC, and another at 8 UTC. So that's like M1.5, M1.5, and 1.3. So that's some decent M class flares. They're said to be from 3712 and 3713. Let's see if we can see that on the imagery. Oh man, look at that magnetogram. That's a juicy sunspot group. I mean, this is a hot longitude, I think. If I know what that expression means, if I'm using that correctly, I think it might be a hot longitude. Let's take a look at AIA 193 angstroms. And you see that big coronal hole at the top getting bigger and bigger. Let's see if it'll let me do the high cadence image. Sometimes it doesn't want to load it very well, but it's so much prettier. Takes a lot longer to play, but you see each individual flaring so well. All the translations of charge dissipation between poles, and these little sunspots blowing up here. And that is turning into a twisty rope. Quite the complex system. Looks like it's even rotating clockwise. Do you see that? There's a little flare there. Nasty. I mean, there's all kinds of jets and streaking, prominences forming up here. Let's take a look at the 304. That shows our formation of filaments. I mean, doesn't look like anybody's working their way loose. Except for right here, that could go. There's a really, like, a jet engine. Oh, that looks like right at the end. It looks like there's something getting flung off. Yeah, that is starting to spin off the sun, maybe towards us. Yeah, buddy, do you see that? Wild. Let's see it here. Let's look at the composite that had that one. There's that first filament launch down there that we don't think is headed towards us. There's that filament forming. This one's about to fling off. There we go. Like a rope. That might have been concurrent with the coronal. That might have been the coronal mass ejection we saw. Yeah, look at that. Beautiful. I mean, it looks like it's crawling towards us. Do you see both on the surface and on the upper, like, atmosphere? You can see it mirroring. Look at that. You see this projected onto this. That is the shape and direction of curvature that is going through. Let's watch it one more time. That is beautiful. Wow. Just bursting through like that. And that looks like it is coming this way. I'm not even joking. It looks like it's coming this way. Maybe not Earth directed, but in this direction. Not like straight Earth directed, but it is generally in this direction. Let's see if any of the models have added new coronal mass ejections. No. Not modeling anything coming towards us. That's fine. Okay. Let's go now to check out our planetary weather. Ready. So we are in a moon day. We started broadcasting during a moon hour, and it's currently a Saturn hour. I do try to elect to broadcast when the day and the hour have the same planetary ruler, and that's usually around 11 o'clock for me. So if you're ever wondering when I'm gonna go live, it's probably around the time that the planetary day and hour are aligned. Okay. So speaking of moon, it's the moon's day. The moon in Scorpio opposed Mars in Taurus today, and Mars rules Scorpio while the moon is exalted in Taurus and in its fall in Scorpio. So this is kind of a you're wearing my shirt, I'm wearing your shirt. Like, hey, which Spider-Man is Spider-Man meme kind of energy between Moon and Mars. And Moon is the physical body, subconscious, and emotions, very generally. And Mars is action, war, sex, motivation, masculine type of thinking execution of things. But Scorpio is the feminine water planet feminine water sign that is ruled by that masculine planet of Mars. So there's something about the fixed nature of Scorpio that is really digging in as the martial part. And while the moon really actually rules Cancer, it's exalted in Taurus around 6 degrees. I think it's 4 or 5 degrees is the moon's maximum degree of exaltation. So I think it was the moon in maximum fall when it opposed Mars today. So maybe we are going to have a lot of, it seems like that would spell a lot of tension between our emotions and what we are actually driven to do and able to actually physically accomplish. Maybe there is something that we've just really got our hearts set on. This is giving me like that stubborn, dug in emotion of deeply, deeply held wounds or trauma or motivation with Scorpio moon. That is just, it's so possessive too. That maybe it's holding us back from this Mars in Taurus action, or something is really in tension. They're in strong tension between Mars and Moon today. In addition to that, the Moon is applying to trine to Saturn in Pisces, and will eventually, or did earlier, trine when it made its ingress into Scorpio, made a trine to Mercury and Venus, who just made their ingress into Cancer at the same time as their exact conjunction. So the exact conjunction was, I think, like right at the tipping point. I don't remember if it was on the Gemini or Cancer side, but right after Mercury overtook Venus, they went into Cancer. So we are now gearing up for Cancer season. We no longer have a Gemini stellium. We only have Jupiter and Sun left in Gemini, and Sun is only in Gemini for a few more days until the solstice. Interesting that the conjunction took place on the solstice point, when the sun goes over the degree where Venus and Mercury conjoined, the that degree where they had that conjunction, that is the point where when the sun goes over it, it's the solstice, it's the summer solstice. So really interesting coincidence or synchronicity there. That also is happening square to Neptune in Pisces. And as we know, coming up next year, Saturn will conjoin Neptune in the first degree at 0 degrees of Aries. The whole time that they're co-present in Pisces, they never touch until we get into Aries. We're going to have like the dawning of a new, when people talk about 2025 shit and like, oh, that'll happen in 2025. One of the things they're referring to is the cycle of Saturn, Neptune, initiating. This is both a new cycle for Saturn, Neptune, and starting at the beginning of the zodiac at 0 degrees. So I feel like this is kind of a foreshadowing. Whatever's happening now is a foreshadowing of what's going to happen around that time next year. Let's see. What else? Jupiter's almost not in aspect to Pluto in Aquarius anymore. Uranus hasn't been aspected by much recently, but it'll soon be opposed by Moon in Scorpio. So I have a feeling that is going to be something spicy tomorrow. And we are in a first quarter moon right now. So I actually want to see this moon opposition Mars. Do I have an interpretation for that? Oh, it doesn't. Not on this page. There's another one. Oh, this can tell me the conjunction. Of Mercury and Venus. Okay. Oh, yes. 0 degrees Cancer at 0 degrees and 19 minutes. That is where they had their exact conjunction today. So we are Venus Mercury conjunction is taken off in Cancer. Some say, according to the Thema Mundi, that we were in the age of Cancer when time began, or something like that. I don't remember. Okay, let's go to, is Mercury still on top of Venus? Yes. Mercury just caught up to Venus. Like, this is Venus moving slow. Mercury just caught up to Venus and overtook Venus. And so now Mercury is now outside ahead of Venus. Going like ships passing in the night, but they're both going in the same direction. Mercury is just going faster. So it kind of lapped Venus today. That was the conjunction that happened. In Cancer, on a moon day, when the moon is in Scorpio opposing Mars. So there's that. Let's go now to get a little bit of a vibe check on the universe. We're going to some tension. I need like a gamer chair, but for my couch. This is actually a couch. I'm sitting on a couch, but I need like some sort of ergonomic back support like gamer chairs have. Mention the effect that Jupiter has on Earth. Do you mean like gravity? Yes, and I think that there is a more electrical connection between Jupiter and Earth's atmosphere specifically. Yesterday, I was talking about astrometeorology and the connection between Jupiter cycles and extreme storms. But that is something I'm just now delving into, so I don't really have all the answers there yet. But early astrometeorologists did theorize that Jupiter has a relationship. Jupiter and Venus specifically have a relationship to storms on Earth. Though astrocartography comes into the mix with that, because you have to get really nitty gritty to figure out which interpretation of the weather is going to happen based on the movement of the planets, based on the projection of the energy of the planet onto this planet. It's so highly varied that it's very hard to generalize. But people don't want to look into the specifics until you generalize it. Anyway, I do think that the solar weather has more to do with Jupiter's gravitational effect than what I was talking about. I think Jupiter's gravitational effect has a big part to play in Milankovitch cycles and the solar cycles, the 11-year sunspot solar cycles. I think that is a Jupiter, Saturn, and Neptune, maybe. Oh, and Uranus also has a big part to play with weather. Uranus is a huge weather planet. I'm gonna remember tomorrow. I'm gonna find my my reference materials about the indications of the planets in astrometeorology and bring that. Okay. My shiny labby, beautiful labradorite. It's not flashing very well today. There we go. There she is. Let's see what the I can shuffle these today. Okay, so what is the weather from beyond? The weather of the cosmos. What is coming in from outer space, from beyond the solar system? Temperance, upright. We have got Temperance upright. This card depicts an angel with 2 cups pouring water from one cup to the other, with 1 foot in a pond and 1 foot resting on a rock on the shore. There is a setting or rising sun in the background behind 2 mountains with a path down the middle, a middle path reference. And the angel also stands in front of yellow irises, has a circle with a dot in it on the forehead, the symbol of the sun. Also has a square with a triangle inside of it, a white square with a red triangle on it in the center of the heart. There are a lot of symbols in this card, but this one is really all about balance, temperance, and moderation. Not going to extremes, finding the middle path, not jumping to conclusions, but also taking the dose is the medicine or the poison kind of thing. Maybe even related to our snake medicine card that's been coming up a lot. temperance is something very hard to learn and grasp, but also it's the root of all medicine. Um, it's a beautiful, beautiful card that I definitely have not mastered, but also I don't know if you can see on this card, but it's got this doesn't focus close up very well, but instead of a regular sun, the center of the sun here is actually a crown shape, which is quite interesting considering the symbol of the sun is on the crown of the angel here. So maybe that is knowing the moderation between yourself and your solar plexus. Also, discernment. Temperance also comes up as the discernment card for me right now. Discernment is the vibe coming in from out there. We are being urged to use our discernment and develop our third eye capabilities, which are linked both color wise and chakra wise to our solar plexus as its complement. Knowing thyself and also knowing what is not thyself and knowing it to be true or not true. I'm really getting the discernment feeling from this drawing of the temperance card today. Now, it does also mean abstinence from alcoholic drink, which is very funny because I do struggle with alcoholism. I'm not even gonna lie. I do. It's not my one vice. It's one of many, but it is. And I'm drinking a beer right now, but it's my only beer tonight, so it is quite. I think I was thinking about it when I drew the card, so sorry if I tainted that a little bit. But it is not temperance. Modern day interpretation came to be associated with anti-alcohol movements from the temperance movements in the 19th and 20th centuries, but it has not always meant that kind of temperance. It also means being judicious. Tempering literally is when you actually use temperature. The root word is temperature, or has the same root word as temperature. It's when you can, like tempering chocolate. Bakers will do this where they add a very gradual thermal gradient to get the chocolate to be able to withstand not melt in conditions it otherwise would, or to be shiny or dull, or it keeps the chocolate shiny when it otherwise would be dull. It helps. Tempering is, there's also tempered glass. You can also temper metals when you're doing metal working. You need to, it's the process of gradually doing the change strategically and specifically so that the end product comes out correctly. So especially if you're scared of the word because it says abstinence from alcoholic drink, maybe you're scared of the modern interpretation of abstinence where it's like, all or nothing, abstinence now, can't ever do it again. But true temperance would be a lifelong, gradual, middle path type of Buddha inspired process of gradually letting go of your attachment to suffering and allowing in capability of mystery surrounding a subject. Really changing your relationship with alcohol from a soul and philosophical level. But yeah, that is just one beginning of many aspects to this card. It's a huge card with lots to say. So if this is resonating with you, or even like not resonating with you, making you be like, oh, I don't like that, look into it more. Look into the Temperance card more, because this is a really powerful one that is kind of the key to a lot of, I mean, it's the key to alchemy and soul transitions and leveling up your spirit body and finding how you can develop your third eye and discernment. It's a temperance process. We're going on earth. Human souls are going through the temperance of a soul. The way I talked about chocolate and metalworking, we're going through that tempering process, but for the human soul on earth right now. There's a good Bible verse about that I really liked growing up. Something, the refinery is for gold and the something is for wheat, but the earth is for the human soul, or something like that. It's like a proverb, I think, but earth is really the temperance process of the human soul to get to the next form. Not that this isn't an awesome form, but this is all a process of tempering us, character development, and all of that. Being ensouled on earth is a temperance process for our individual souls. So just a little surface dive into the Temperance card. There's so much else you can talk about, but that's a little bit of what's coming out for me today with that one. Let's see what else pops out in our, I can shuffle this one again. My roommate, who is sensitive to smells, is also sensitive to sound, so I don't get to shuffle my cards when they are here at night. They are not here tonight, so I do get to shuffle my cards. All right. Let's see. Okay, liminal space. What goes with the Temperance card upright for the energy coming into our world from beyond the solar system, beyond the planets, beyond the spheres of what we can know and observe with telescopes and the scientific method and all of that? Oh, keep trying to pop out, but too many are popping. I need one card, please. I need one card, please. Okay, I'll take it. The software update. That is exactly what I was just talking about with Temperance. It's so funny how this comes out sometimes. The software update is exactly what I was talking about of our process of tempering the human soul. Let's see. The software update says, it says it on the computer screen too. You can't read it there, but it says, this is an invitation to evolve. If declined, all life will be experienced through the lens of your outdated software. This may improve upon old features or add something new entirely. So we are currently in the stage where we are all being given the process of a software update. It's not just we'll restart our computer once and we'll have it. This is a long series of restarts, reboots, downloads, upgrades, and emptying the trash can and defragging your hard drive and all of that, all of these computer analogies, but for your body. Remember that we make computers in our image, in the way that we have to replicate all the functions of a human body in a computer to navigate its cyberspace that we create for it. But that can teach us, if we don't know much about our own human bodies and souls, then studying computers can teach us about all of the options that we have to program this machine. That's a great reminder that you are actually in control of your machine, even though sometimes you load some scripts and programs that get really chaotic and slow down your hardware very much, and you're like, oh, I'm not in control of anything because my hardware is so slow. No, actually, you downloaded the thing that made your hardware slow. You just may not have known that's what you were downloading. Okay. And then finally, we've got our card for affirmation, for manifestation, for abundance. This kind of new agey deck I got from my very new agey Pisces friend. Shout out to Miranda. Thank you very much. I use this all the time. All right, what goes with the software update and temperance for what's coming in from the universe for us today? What's the universal weather, the cosmic weather? That was too many. Oh, this is just not wanting to pop out. I guess I'm going to have to select one. All right. I practice the science of deliberate creation. And it's got a butterfly with an eye that looks mirroring where her eye should be. Butterfly wing over the eye with a spot where the eye should be. That is also exactly what I was just talking about, where we practice the science of deliberate creation by being in control of what we program our hardware, our physical bodies with, and what we program our software, our soul bodies with. Giving thought to anything is creation. Giving deliberate thought to anything is deliberate creation. Now, you are always creating if you are thinking. But in order to be in more conscious control of what you are doing with your hardware and software, you have to be more intentional and deliberate about that thought in order to create. That is how you program this body and soul. Is how you program this thing is what you put your attention on. Now, am I great at putting this into practice? Absolutely not. I can definitely let my mind wander and get stuck in many thought loops that I feel victim to until I recall that, oh, I'm the one thinking this. I can change this. The science of deliberate creation is really beautiful, along with temperance and the software update today. I want to show you guys the actual lineup of these cards together, because that is just a gorgeous little lineup. My white balance is kind of off, but what whites are balanced in this universe? You know what I'm saying? Okay. Did you guys know that flies can't see the color white? I just learned this from TikTok. Well, I don't watch TikTok. I'm not on TikTok, but I do watch other people's compilations of TikToks. Beautiful cards, beautiful people. Another beautiful show. I am all butterflies. Thank you so much for being here, Jenny. I hope that you are staying safe, whether you're out in West Texas or New Mexico. Stay safe from the wildfires. I think you got here after my wildfire update, but there are many, many new wildfires in New Mexico right now. So look that up. ArcGIS has a great wildfire map. Please stay safe. We'll be praying for you to keep you safe during this upcoming tropical storm and the wildfires. Hey, maybe the tropical storm will put out the wildfires. Crazier things could happen. Yeah, that would be really awesome if that happened. I'm putting that out there. Maybe that'll happen. Okay. I love you all very, very much. Thank you so much for coming to another episode of Today's Weather Tonight. I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.